Hello and welcome once again to Straight Bat, my weekly blog where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat and tell you like it is. Now, in the life of a journalist or the career of a journalist, there are some stories, events that stay with you right through your life. One of those stories in my case is that of December 6, 1992, the demolition of the Babri Masjid. As I said in an earlier blog, I was then 27, a young assistant editor at the Times of India and the city editor. And in Mumbai, what happened after the demolition has stayed with me through my lifetime. The manner in which a city was torn apart, hundreds of people lost their lives in the communal violence that followed the demolition of the Babri Masjid. Which is why this is a story that I have tracked over the years. And which is why, when a few days ago, a court in Lucknow decided or ruled that none of the 32 accused of the criminal conspiracy to demolish the mosque or instigate the mob were in any way guilty and acquitted all of them, I must say I had a sense of disbelief at one level, but at another level, a sense of resignation, because much has changed in the waters under the river Saryu over the last 28 years. And my mind went back in a way to what was the situation in 1992, and an article I wrote 2 days before the Babri Masjid was demolished in the Times of India. It was called Law Above Faith. No temple is bigger than the Constitution. I guess I was young, idealistic, I had come out of law school, and my sense was that societies are held together by the rule of law, and in the Indian context by our very fine constitution. And I wrote then, and let me quote from that article, Law Above Faith. Above all, law is based on reason and rationality, whereas faith is often mired in the irrational and the supernatural. In other words, so long as the Ayodhya issue is kept within the realm of faith, the Hindutva lobby can keep it simmering till such time as the right political climate is created. If, however, they accept that it is justiciable, that it can be in the Supreme Court, there would be an air of finality to the ruling which may leave them without a leg to stand on. In a sense, what I was trying to suggest was you cannot base judicial rulings on the faith of a community, especially in a diverse, plural society like India. It is ultimately the law of the land which is the unifier. 28 years later, I have realized that what I wrote then, I got it badly wrong. Because it seems, first the Supreme Court in November 2019, while deciding on the Ayodhya title dispute, really puts faith above law, effectively creates the right to pray, and says because over centuries Hindus were praying and treating it as a sacred place, therefore they had in a way a greater right to the contentious land of the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid. And so the title was given to the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas. Then came the question of the criminal case. The same Supreme Court had clearly suggested that there was a shocking violation of the law. Egregious is the word that the court used, in the manner in which the masjid was demolished, and insisted therefore that the criminal conspiracy case, which had been pending since 1993, be resolved in day-to-day hearings. This week, Judge Yadav, on his last day of retirement, gives the judgment. And I would urge all of you to read the judgment. Because if in November faith was put above the law, in my view, on September 30th, 2020, politics was put above the law. The fact is, the BJP today is the party of power. Those individuals, those groups which led the movement that led to the demolition of the Babri Masjid are today in power. Yes, some of them may be marginal. Murli Manohar Joshi may be in the Margdarshak Mandal, L.K. Advani ji may be in the Margdarshak Mandal, Vinay Katiyar has become marginal in Uttar Pradesh's politics, Uma Bharti is in some kind of semi-retirement, Sadhvi Ritambara is rarely seen. These were all the major faces in a way in 1992. But while they may be marginal, the forces that they represented, the forces that said, ek dhakka aur do, those forces are in power. And if you read the judgment of Judge Yadav, and indeed read even the CBI's charge sheet, it is riddled with loopholes. The judge won't even accept the photographs that were provided as evidence because he said signature nahi hai. The fact is, the judge seems to believe that the VHP was not involved at all. My friend Praveen Togadia, I can promise you, would contest that. It was almost suggested as if the Kar Sevaks were a faceless mob, and in that faceless mob, if you read the judgment, it even seems to suggest maybe some Pakistanis had infiltrated with pickaxes and swords. So there was no pre-planning by the group that was there, which in itself, to my mind, is very troubling. Let us assume for a moment that there was no conspiracy to demolish the mosque. Are we really saying that the build-up to the Babri Masjid and to December 6, 1992, all the Rath Yatra, the provocative slogans had nothing to do with what happened that Sunday in Ayodhya? That there is no connection? It's like saying tomorrow that I lead an agitation outside maybe the Prime Minister's residence, make some kind of provocative speech, leave the scene, the group that has assembled there then goes on the rampage, and I can say, look, I had nothing to do with it. This was some faceless mob. It's a very dangerous way of interpreting the law. And to my mind, as someone who would like to see himself as a constitutionalist above all else, it is a flagrant assault on constitutional democracy and the rule of law. Which is why, much as I would have liked closure at a personal level, and more importantly at a collective level to ensure a new Hindu-Muslim compact where the two communities can coexist peacefully and harmoniously without even thinking of December 6, 1992. My fear is that this will only further add to the sense of siege among Muslims, a feeling that the law is unequal, and will only reopen old wounds. And which is why I think, just as the Supreme Court looked at the title dispute, they will also need to look at the criminal case and ensure that not only is justice done, but is seen to be done. As for Justice Yadav or Judge Yadav in this case, well, he is going into retirement. I don't know what prompted him to give this judgment, but as I said, the political climate between 1992 and 2020 has clearly changed. Then Jai Shri Ram was seen as a slogan of aggression and machismo, and in a way was seen as provocative. Today, we hear the slogan Jai Siya Ram. I don't want to say more. I was recently almost hauled up for contempt of court, so I shall be a little careful with my words. But I genuinely believe that the judgment of Judge Yadav needs to be seriously looked at, reviewed, and appealed against. Thanks for watching. This is The Straight Bat.